We're rolling. All right. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. I am here with Tom. Oh, I forgot to ask you how you pronounce your last name. Tom Sauser, is that right?
That's it. Nice.
All right. How are you today, Tom?
Pretty good. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm very excited for our conversation, and
Likewise.
I'm excited to talk about your work because I think it's very thoughtful and unique, and I think you come from a unique place just in the little bit of conversation that we've had before we started this thing. And what I like about your work is that it has this very raw street photography feel, and kind of like an Americana feel to it, and it captures average America. And notice that you're willing to move out of urban America into the rest of America, which is like most of America, right? And I've also noticed that you utilize people in your photos, but you don't rely on people to make your photos work. And I think that's fascinating because I think it can be easy. I'll just speak for myself. It can be easy to either put yourself in one bucket or another. I'm a people photographer or I'm a not people photographer. And you seem to do both interchangeably. And I find that to be so fun.
Thank you.
And then, yeah. And almost all of your work is black and white, which is great. But it's like overall, you get this feeling of it's an observation of common life as well as the oddities of common life. So as we get into it, you guys will understand what I mean by that. But I'm excited because we're streaming to Twitter as well. That'll be fun. This is the first time I'm doing this. Hopefully everything's working okay. Definitely. I'm not looking at it, but hopefully I'm streaming to the right Twitter account. I have multiple now, but anyway. So anyway, thank you, Tom, for giving me some of your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So absolutely. It is an honor. So I'm going to hop over to your Instagram account here, and we're going to look at some of your photos and talk about them. I think that will be what we do for the most part during this thing. And my goal is just to, pull insights from your process and what have you. So I think it would be fun to let's start with this clown one, because I think it's an interesting example. No, let's start with this one. I like this one. So, so this one involves people, obviously, and an interestingly framed photo. And this is a great microcosm, if that's the right word. I'm trying to use big words. I think that works there. Of what you find in your photography, which is photography that doesn't look super like polished in a traditional sense, but it's very thoughtfully composed at the same time. And there's little things that you can find in it that makes it come together and become strong. So in this case, what I love is, you have them sitting there. Normally this would be a pretty normal scene, just people sitting down fishing. You could make the photo work in different ways, but what really makes this photo come alive is the fact that we have this bizarre hat with a smiley face on it. Might be hard to see for people who are watching, but it's got a little smiley face on it, and it makes you go, what is happening here? There's a bizarreness about it, and there's a lot of bizarreness in your photos, which I absolutely love. So so anyway, tell me about this photo and how it came to be.
So this photo, I've kind of been working on a project just of the parks, like public parks in the city and around the city. So this is at Point State Park in downtown Pittsburgh, and it basically comes to a point, and everyone just kind of hangs out there. I call it the beach.
Hence the point in the name. I see.
Right. Yeah, I call it the beach because there's no beach, but this is the closest we get. Anyways, so I was just kind of wandering around, and I saw a kid with like a mask on the back of his head, and I did a double take, and I was like, wow, that's really happening. So I got to take a picture of that. So I kind of
really happening.
Kind of cruised around a few times and figured out how I wanted to frame it and went for it. And luckily I got it. So
That's great.
Yeah, it's just out cruising around, walking around, and seeing what I see. So
Cool. I just
yeah.
realized I spelt Pittsburgh wrong on the title. I'll fix that later. Oh well.
Did you
It's
forget
not
the
a.
H?
I forgot the H. It's not a. It's not a word that I spell every day. You know.
It used to be spelled that way, so they
Oh, did
changed
they
it.
change it?
They changed it like, I don't know, probably like at least 100,
Here,
150,
let me.
maybe
I'm
80 years
gonna
ago. I
change
don't
it
know.
while I'm streaming. Hopefully, we don't disrupt the space-time continuum. Okay, it's what is Pittsburgh?
Yep,
Is that right?
that's it.
Oh goodness. Okay. All right. Hopefully we don't break anything here. All right. I think we're good. Okay. It'll be wrong on Twitter, but I think that's just going to be what it is
It's all
for now.
good.
Okay. So there we go. I'm going to now move to another photo.
Sure.
And let's go to this first one now. So we have a bit more of this kind of average American, like urban exploration kind of thing happening. And I think that that part of your work is equally as fascinating as the work that you do with people involved.
Thanks.
So what drew you into taking photos of things like hamburgers and giant, I mean, this is probably its own story, but giant cutouts of Trump and that sort of thing. Like, what pulls you into this?
So, I don't know. I just really like bizarre stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And since COVID came or showed up, I've been kind of, just struggling shooting street photos. So my girlfriend and I, we decided, we go visit her parents, we go visit my parents, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of look stuff up, like weird roadside oddities and attractions. And this is the Big Mac Museum, and I can't remember where, but that's the biggest Big Mac in the world.
Oh my gosh! So you've captured a once in a lifetime experience here.
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
Anyways, we got there and it was you couldn't go in and actually see it. So I just kind of figured out a good composition in the window.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
But,
This kind of just spoke to you out of the sheer oddness of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I just lately I've been really into roadside attractions,
mm-hmm.
and we've just been kind of looking them up and searching them out and going and find them, which is pretty fun.
Okay.
It's kind of a newer thing for me. So.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I can tell that's leaking into your work a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious, so let's go to this one. It will be an interesting example to talk about this. I think what a photo like this often takes is a willingness to actually stop your car and go take the photo as opposed to just drive by. It can be, I've found that it can be pretty easy as you're going to go, oh, that's great, but I can't stop for whatever reason because I'm going, there's momentum and I don't want to stop the car from going. I have to get to a place or something like that. Obviously there are more legitimate reasons than others, but right. Yes. So it seems like you have a willingness to actually stop and take the photo.
Definitely. You got to stop because it might not be there later. So.
Ooh. Look at that. That's beautiful. I wish I could put that on a quote on the bottom of the screen.
I mean, who knows how long that's going to be there,
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. This is obviously a very fleeting thing in our time, as much as,
right.
As much as it feels like something that's very much a part of America right now, it won't be there forever.
Right.
So what was the story behind this photo in particular anyway?
Kind of the same thing. My girlfriend and I were out cruising around, and we were near her parents' house. I forget how I found out about it, but we found out where it was, and I was like, we gotta go. So.
Okay. Oh, so you actually researched this location and thought we got to go there and see it. Wow. Yeah. Okay. One of the things there are a couple of things I really love about the way that this photo works from a technical standpoint. One is how you put Trump directly in the middle of the dark part of the house, so he stands out.
Hmm.
And then I love the light on the house as well, because I think that really adds a lot to how this photo feels. I think if you came here at a different part of the day, it wouldn't have worked as well, right?
Right.
So what time? Well, what time did you get there to do this?
I think it was around like probably 4:30.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Yeah. So it's Trump is like appropriately lit up, right? And then you have, but it's also not like super polished, like you put a strobe light on him, right?
right.
It feels very natural.
Yeah. I'm
Cool.
I'm very into natural light, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
rarely
yeah.
use the flash.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you have, when it comes to photographers, you have the people who excel at natural light. You have the people who excel at artificial light. I think when you have overlap, you have like a ridiculously talented human being.
Yes.
I have a buddy who's really good at that. He started in street fashion and then moved into portraiture and environmental portraiture, and he's a wizard with artificial lighting.
Nice.
But it takes a different mind. Like I feel like even though I have a background in video production,
Hmm.
I've always been more into the run and gun world of video
Yeah.
production.
Right.
And I feel like I just barely learned how to light my face correctly with this thing. Right. So anyway, so yeah, great. Okay. Let's move along.
I'm using my window for light today.
Okay. Yeah. You can't go wrong with a window.
Nope.
Can't go wrong with a window. Okay, so next I want to go to this one. I think this one is a good mixture of what you'll see in your work because it involves a person, but also a really interesting location. And I love the feeling of this because this reminds me of growing up in South Carolina, and then you go into this kind of like hole in the wall barbecue joint type place,
Yeah.
and you have like a friendly person there who is just like a gem of a human being, or maybe they're not, but you get some really interesting characters, and you
Right.
captured that whole feeling. At least for me, you captured that whole feeling in a photo, and all of these little things that are included in, the corn dogs, the menu, you got the Chicago Cubs over here, you got whatever these are, whatever that is, you have you got a freezer over here. You got the crates with stuff in it. Actually reminds me of working at Starbucks. You got some papers over, all sorts of different little context points that give you a feeling for the environment. And then you have this guy with this smiling face, and it feels raw and intimate. And like you guys are maybe friends. I don't know if you are, but that's, you get that feeling. So tell me about this one. I feel like it probably has an interesting story behind it.
Man, this guy, it's called Yovi's Dogs. They're like the best hot dogs downtown, right?
Okay.
And he's just a really nice guy, and I'd get lunch there often. And I just had to take a picture. I feel like you don't see places like that much anymore. With like menus everywhere, memorabilia everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love that. I guess
Yeah. Right.
It's like original, No one really does anything original in their restaurants anymore like they did back in the mid '90s, even the '80s, '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. So when it came to taking a photo of this guy, well, first off, I'll ask, how do you feel about taking photos of strangers? Is it something that is nerve-wracking to you? Is it something that you're pretty cool with? Where do you fall in that realm?
It's usually nerve-wracking.
Okay.
Constantly
Good. I love it.
But I have my days where it doesn't bother me. But I just push through it because I really enjoy doing it. So
I love that. Yeah, that's good. That's where
it's
it's at.
Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. So I don't know how others are about it, but I just
I'll speak for myself. I struggle with a fair bit of social anxiety, and the idea of walking up to people has always scared me. But I've walked up to probably I don't know, maybe hundreds of people now, and taken their photo, whether it's a portrait well, generally speaking, it's a portrait. And if I'm doing candid stuff, I don't generally tend to get into the mix so much that I'm going to have people constantly looking at me as I'm doing it. I tend to kind of like stand off a bit more when I do that, but I've done a lot of street portraits, and to this day, it's still something that makes me nervous. Still something that takes effort, but it has gotten easier over time. And you also you also equip yourself more to be able to deal with those types of interactions. Because that's a lot of it is like, what's going to happen if I do this? Is this person going to punch me in the face? Is this is this person going to just be awkward about the whole thing? And how do I deal with that? And the more you do it, the more you're able to learn how to navigate that space. But even if you can't, I think just learning how to think on your feet and tolerate the awkwardness and be okay with the fact that there's going to be awkwardness, because there will.
Definitely.
That's a lot. I think that's a lot of the craft of walking up to people. But yeah, it's definitely some, and I think most street photographers are probably that way. I think you do have some who are very outgoing and just love talking to random stranger people and don't really have much of a concern about that. But I feel like that's probably a rare bunch. I feel like most people are probably more like you and me.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. I think if I could be a fly on the wall, it would be amazing. But, you get through it. And usually, like, when you see a good picture, you're really not thinking about what could happen. Because you're like, at least for me, I'm like, oh, I got to grab that photo. And then, like, as soon as I push the shutter button, I'm like, man.
I did that. Yeah, that's good, though. I feel like,
but I mean, I don't think I should feel that way at the same time, because I'm not doing anything wrong. And I'm not trying to do anyone wrong either.
Right.
It's like a weird fight inside my head.
Is that something that is enticing to you? That fight?
Like if I should take the photo or not, or
I guess what I mean by that is, for me, there's actually an allure to the adrenaline rush of taking a photo of a stranger.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of it for me is me actually challenging myself to interact with somebody else. But for you, you've put a lot of emphasis on the photo itself and capturing the photo itself. Is it more so about that than the interaction and challenging yourself, or is it both, or how do those play together for you?
I think my main thing is I want to get the photo, but I also really like challenging myself, because I don't know, like I used to skate BMX. I was a bike messenger for a few years, so I always liked like the rush of adrenaline, and I really like that I get that when I go out and shoot. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like freaking out sometimes. But no, I mean, my main goal, I want to get photos. I just love taking photos.
That's good. I feel like that has an overriding power for you to move through the whatever anxiety you may feel about, and take the photo because you're really interested in the photo. And I definitely experienced that myself.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree.
Yeah.
I got to take the photo.
Got to take it. All right. I love it.
If I see it, like I got to take it, and I can't really, I usually don't even think about it at that point. It's weird. It's like my brain shuts off. So. Okay.
All right. I like that. Well, to anyone out there, maybe try to make your brain shut off. See how that goes. Might help you out. Okay. So this is one I saw recently, and I was really blown away by it. I think it's a really fantastic photo. It's obviously a bit of a goofy photo in the sense that, it says butts on it, but also for just from a technical standpoint, it's very strong. Like, it clearly defines the subject. The fact that the headstone here is a different color than all the rest. And then you start hearing it. It took me a while to even notice that there was like a KFC back here and all of this other stuff. but you get this like oddity of normal life, beauty in the mundane kind of feeling when you look at it. And I think, I don't know if I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily appreciate the photo so much. They'd be like, oh, okay, it's just funny butts, right? But I love the way the photo is constructed. I think I see what you were trying to do here. And I think it's fantastic. But so tell me about how this one came to be.
Same thing. My girlfriend Rachel and I were visiting her parents, and on the drive back home, I drove by the cemetery and saw that from the road back by KFC, and I just pulled off to the side of the road, and I was like, we got to stop. So
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing, because I mean, I'm just always looking for goofy stuff, like funny names in cemeteries and interesting moments, stuff like that, and I didn't even plan for the KFC to work out with that, to be honest. I just kind of got lucky in that aspect, because when I got home and threw it on the computer, I was like, okay, that works pretty well. I'm happy with that. So.
Yeah, well, it adds some extra context. The fact, it shows you that this is just like a normal American town. But I love that when you're taking it, it seems like something just draws you to it, and you're thinking, you might even be just thinking, oh, this is a goofy thing that I want to take a photo of. But when it comes out on the other side, it's like, it almost has like a profoundness to it in your feed. And then you see all the photos together, and they tell a collective story about life, right? That's what I see here, and I think it's great.
I appreciate that.
But
it's really weird. It's interesting hearing your thoughts on my photos, because I don't look at them that much, so I appreciate that. I just kind of take photos. If I like one, I throw it up on Instagram, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, I really like that, though. I really like your sort of, I'm just enjoying it. I'm going to share it with people, and they can kind of do with it what they want. I think your photos really do excel when you look at them close up. This is one I feel like I do want to move into some proper street photography, but this is one that I thought was really, really fantastic as well.
Thank you.
Because it's like, if you grew up in America, you know this. Especially if you grew up in a small town in America, you know what this feels like.
Yes.
And this is very much like any one of my 4th of July experiences with my family. We go in the back of the yard, we blow something up. Sometimes we blow up a bit too many things. And you get to have a family moment together.
Right.
And I love,
always sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
It's always mesmerizing, that's what I tried to capture with that one, because everybody has done that and just stared at a firework for ever, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a good feeling.
Yeah. But I think we always need to be capturing our cultures in a very real and raw kind of way, in a way that's not necessarily trying to get a certain narrative across, right? Because if you go online, you're going to find a lot of things that are specifically trying to accomplish certain narratives. And what can come out of that, you can miss out on moments like this, which are just the daily nice things of life, where the family gets together and watches some fireworks. You'll get, and a lot of the focus is around things that generate debate and generate outrage and fury, right? And so this is very much an antidote to that, I think. But from a technical standpoint, I love how you have the fireworks right in the middle, and then you have, of course, the environment to give us some context, and then you have these 3 people standing here, a nice group of 3 humans, all different ages. I mean, you could dig into this photo and really, really think about the moment you captured here. And even to the fact that he's the shortest here, right? And he makes room for this firework to be here. if he was over here and he was all the way over here, it wouldn't work, right? It would be, he'd be blocking. You'd have to find another way to make the photo work. But the photo is just so technically beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm always looking for like kind of setups like that. I like things in threes. I like, dimension to the photo and whatnot. So I just like kind of like how it's like that, with the people. So and then the fireworks in the middle just worked out pretty well. So
yeah. So did you drag your shutter speed for this, or was it what was? Do you remember what your shutter speed was roughly?
I don't at all, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it blurred a little bit, right? So you can see,
yeah.
And I think it adds a lot of drama to the photo. I think it's great.
I think it was probably like around maybe like 125th, 125, maybe a little lower. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds about right. What did you shoot this with?
Just my Fuji, the X Pro 2, and the 21 millimeter Voigtlander.
Okay. And we were talking a bit before, you tend to use that one a lot, right?
Yeah. So
the like lens, I should say.
Yeah, it's my go-to lens. It doesn't come off the camera at this point. I started out
21 millimeter.
Yeah, it comes out to be like 32 though, like a 32 millimeter because of the crop factor.
Right.
So it's like perfect. It's not too wide and it's not too zoomed in for me. So.
Oh, I love that. That's pretty wide for a lot of people, and that's what I think is so interesting about it. Is that for you that feels like the perfect focal length?
Yeah, I mean, I used to shoot 28, so like a 28 millimeter equivalent, which I really liked as well. But I don't really like the Fuji lenses. People probably won't. I know everybody likes them, but I'm not a big fan of them. So I like manual focus and just kind of zone focusing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't really have to think too much about that part.
That's great. Do you find yourself shooting at like a higher f-stop, like an f9 or something like that, or are you f4, 1.8, 1.2?
Usually f8. I just leave it at f8. Aperture priority. Sometimes f11. Sometimes the 5.6 or lower if I need to.
Okay.
But I'm a big fan of just not having to worry about the settings on my camera and just worrying about getting the photo, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. That sometimes you'll go ahead.
I don't like to worry about my camera because if I worry about it, it just messes with my head too much and I'm not able to really worry about taking the photo. So
would you feel the same way if you were walking around with multiple lenses?
Oh yeah, I couldn't do that. I tried. I mean, like if I have a photo job, sometimes I do like photo jobs on the side. I'll carry 2 cameras with like a 50 millimeter and then a wide angle. So, yeah, I couldn't do the multiple lens thing. That's just too much. I figure if I can get in there with my feet, it's good,
That's great. So. I think shooting with a similar focal length, in your case, seems like the same focal length almost all the time, gives a certain consistency to your photos.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, this photo you have pulled up here was shot with like a 50 millimeter equivalent, which I was into for a while just because of COVID and I didn't want to like get super close to people.
Oh, right.
But just not a fan, not a super big fan of that focal length, but it worked.
That's interesting. I love 50. I think 50 is like, that focal length speaks to me, and 35 feels quite wide, although I do enjoy it, but I love 50 because it gives you a lot of versatility. But at the same time, and look at this, like this would have been a completely different photo if you're walking around with a 32 millimeter focal length, because you wouldn't have cut off the thing. Not that that's a bad thing, by the way. I'll talk about that in a second, but you wouldn't have cut off the thing. You would have had more of the scene. And so it would have created a different feel for this whole thing. But what is interesting about the 50 in this case, I think it adds a lot of intensity to the photo because you have the thing cut off on the top. I think it also kind of pairs nicely with whatever chaotic craziness is happening right here. because, whenever something cuts off in a weird way, it adds some tenseness to the photo and to me. And so you have that, and you have things all the way around the outside of the frame, different little elements like the person here, that sort of thing. And I think it pairs well and makes the whole scene feel a bit more chaotic and crazy. So I like to think about what it would feel like to shoot with different focal lengths in the situation. Obviously, if you had a 70 to 200, you'd just be on the falling building here.
Right.
Just
right.
that. But whatever, that might work in an interesting way as well. But anyway, so tell me about what happened here.
So
I'm glad you're okay.
No, this is the south side of Pittsburgh. And I think it was like an electrical fire. But anyways, so I saw the smoke and I was like, I'm gonna go check this out. Went and checked it out, and I gotta say, if I didn't have the 50mm lens, there's no way. I mean, I probably could have made a photo, but I don't think I would have been as happy with it, if I could say that, maybe. Because I couldn't get as close as I would want to.
Yeah.
So it worked out pretty well. But anyways, I was just shooting, and the photo gods were like, "Hey, you're gonna get this photo of the building collapsing. Today's, I hate to say lucky day because that just doesn't sound right, but I got lucky that the building collapsed whenever I was shooting. Like, I can't believe I caught that. I was just shocked. So
when
nobody
it comes
got hurt, thank God, and
that's good.
It's all good. So.
Very good. When it comes to shooting scenes like this, with emergency situations, one thing to keep in mind is that, as I'm sure it's the same where you are, they obviously want to keep you pretty far back from whatever's happening.
Right.
And because, I mean, listen, it would have been a freaking spectacular shot if you were right here. You're like down in the corner right here. You got the building, but then of course the building's falling on top of you, and that's a bit of a negative thing. But but they'll
definitely.
Definitely.
That would be a bad day.
It's good to live. But they push you back, which kind of necessitates longer focal length, right? Kind of like what you were saying. And so if you ever go to emergency, like whenever I go to shoot some sort of emergency type of scene, I will go out with this guy generally. Because it's
you can really get in there with that.
You can get in there and you can get into the action without having to physically be there.
Right.
And I find that to be great. But obviously with that photo, with that lens, you wouldn't have been able to get this photo. So it's like, it's all serendipity. It's all like, make the best decision you can and see how it turns out. And I think street photographers are maybe unusually good at dealing with that, like there's no right answer kind of thing. Just we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But anyway, this is a spectacular photo, by the way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What were you
I was
gonna say?
Like really, really, really happy with that one. Which I still feel weird saying about, like whenever I go to like an emergency or disaster, but I don't know. I think it turned out well. So.
Obviously, you don't want. It's unfortunate when this happens, but when you take a photo, it's something fortunate that you can pull from it, the ability to document things like this, right?
Right.
So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I think that's totally fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I've always thought, like, I don't want something horrible to happen, but if it does happen, I do want to be able to capture it.
Right.
It's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how horrible. For me, it depends on if it's bad enough that someone needs help, I would just run to help them instead of taking the photo, I think. So.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach.
Most people would be that way,
Right.
Maybe while you're running, help them snap a quick photo.
Right. As you're on the way there, take a really shaky photo. Yeah, sometimes you have to be the one to help, but most of the time you are able to capture whatever's happening. That's why, when people say, oh, like put down your phone and help the person, whenever you're watching a video of something, it's like, yeah, okay, there are times for that. But a lot of times if the person is getting help, you stepping in won't
Right.
necessarily make anything better, especially if there's
Right.
emergency workers there. You're probably
Right.
going to make everything worse. You're just going to be like,
Definitely.
what can I do? Like,
They're going to be like,
so
get out of here.
right. But yeah, of course, there's a time where the car flipped over and you got to help pull somebody out. You know,
Right.
that's I think that's intuitive. Okay, let's carry on. Where did we stop?
Got a little off subject there.
No, that was on subject, if you ask me.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see. So yeah, like more bizarre stuff. Like this is fascinating to me. Was the person just that short, or were they on their knees, or what happened here?
Oh man, I hate to explain it, just because I like to like.
Oh, the mystery.
A mystery, but so I can give it up. It's no biggie.
Their legs are going through holes in the concrete. That's what it is.
That's it.
It's a magic trick.
There's actually no. I was gonna say there's a manhole that she's coming out of, and
right, exactly, yeah.
Kind of standing. Anyways, so she's a anti-abortion protester.
Okay.
But I didn't want to include that. So she's there praying, and you know.
Okay. Oh, I can see her
cool.
foot popping out now. This is a discovery.
Yeah. And if you look at it, Instagram's so bad because you can't see photos large. But if you were to look at it large, she has like a rosary in her hands.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I just really thought it's kind of moved me, you know. I mean, but I didn't want to include the protesting part because I think that takes away from the photo I was trying to make. I don't want my photos to be political.
I totally understand that. Like, there's a time to add context and there's a time to leave out context.
Yes. So
that's great.
I think, if that was included, it would have taken away from the mystery of what she was doing. So I think it's important to look at things like that because, I mean, political stuff is just, it's always in our ears all the time and everybody's angry. So I try to like remove that from my photographs.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't agree. I don't really want to get into politics here, but it's not that I don't, it's not that I'm not political, but I just don't want to deal with that while I'm shooting photos.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So.
Yeah. There are many reasons to approach it that way. I have no problem with that at all. I think that's great. Yeah. I think that for one, you're right. Our society is so politicized that it's good to have a break from that, whether it is in what you're consuming, what you're sharing, and when you're taking the photo, what you're taking photos of, right? I think it's good to step away from that. I think it's good when you fall too much into the political world, because I am highly political at times as well.
Yeah.
When you fall into the political world, you start to look at people as not quite what they are. You start to divide people into groups, and you go, this person is my enemy, this person is my friend, or all people of this persuasion are this way, and all people of this persuasion are this way. And what I found is when I talk to people like you, I learned that most people are just humans who have a set of ideas about things, and you'll find a shocking amount of overlap. Everybody's not like a one size fits all type of experience. And so anyway, also what we need is good journalism. And I think journalism tends to pull back from being overtly political in nature when it's done really well. I think, Steve McCurry?
Yes.
Okay. I love his photos because you don't get the sense that he's trying to push some sort of one agenda or another, generally speaking. It's this is what I captured. This is what's happening. And you can make your own decision about it.
Yes.
And I think it seems like you kind of think similarly about the photos you're trying to, I think that not only is that okay, I think it's fantastic. I think it's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I don't want to push anything on anyone. It's just, everybody should just be able to do what they want. But anyway, not do what they want, but believe what they want, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Okay. So let's see. Let me just, I find when I look at your photos large, that's when they speak to me. So I'm
thanks.
gonna flip through these. We got some eyeballs here. We we have a face growing out of the ground with a tree coming out of it. So that's good. Seems like you went to some sort of elven land or something. Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh. I just realized what happened here. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. You got the building and you got the building inside the mirror. That's obviously a different building. That's amazing.
That's a different building. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's like the same size and everything.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
That's great. Now, were you driving while you took this?
I was not. No, I was just, so I carry my camera everywhere, all day, every day. And I was on a break at work, and I was just kind of sitting in the van eating lunch. And the building was like kind of lining up, and I was like, I bet if I back up a little bit, the building.
That's so rad.
And
gotcha.
And I was like, dude, this is insane.
This is a big one. Wow. That's cool. All right, let's see. Let's flip through a couple more. So these are things that I think are important to capture, weird little urban moments like this, because if you live in a city, you see this all the time, to the point that you'll become desensitized to it, right? It's like, oh, okay, that's another homeless person having some sort of, bad experience. And what's important about photos like this is they make you look at those things and deal with those things. So I really do like the fact that you did that here.
Thank you.
So what was happening here?
So I think the guy was like hammered or something, maybe on drugs. But I like that the other guy was like trying to help him out, It's like humanity.
Yeah. Right. It seems like maybe it was his buddy.
I think it was his buddy. I can't remember for sure. I was just kind of passing by and snapped it pretty quick. But I just think it's cool to see that, it's good to see people helping other people. And I don't think that's shown as much as it could be.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a nice moment, like someone else helping someone else out. So.
Yeah. There's a lot you can kind of think about looking at this photo. When you're taking photos like this, candid photos, how often are you discovered by the person that you're taking the photo of? You feel like you're generally pretty invisible? That's good.
Yes and no. I don't know. I bet I get caught like 40% of the time, which is cool. No one really gets that mad, although I have had some experiences that weren't great. But I used to just like shoot from the hip with a 28 millimeter. That's like how I originally started shooting portraits and street portraits, then moved into 28 millimeter lens, kind of shooting from the hip, from the eye, just trying to figure out how to feel comfortable, which I never really truly figured out how to feel comfortable. Just, we talked about earlier, it comes with it. I probably, maybe like 40% of the time someone sees me, maybe less, maybe more.
Okay.
But, everybody's usually pretty chill about it.
So when it happens, what's your response? Like, how do you try to deal with that?
I just say, hey, hi, smile, tell them I like what they're wearing. If they want to talk about it,
you choose to directly engage with the person.
Yeah, I don't want to run away. I used to do that, and when I first started, and I think that just makes me look malicious, and I'm not trying to be malicious. So if you just talk to people, they're usually pretty cool about it. And the people you think are mad are usually just like confused and end up being happy that someone wanted to take their picture. So.
Yeah, I love that. And you wouldn't discover that unless you were willing to engage with them and not run away from them.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important to engage and not look like you're doing something wrong, because you're not. So, like, downtown Pittsburgh is very, very tiny. It's
very tiny.
Yeah, Pittsburgh isn't a very large city, so I see the same people all the time downtown, you know?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Gotcha.
I just, you know, kind of get to know them, and then, you know, the newer people, you just want to look good. You don't want to offend anyone, even though
Mhm.
some people get offended and try to punch you or, you know, whatever. But,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's important to,
Yeah, and it's good to not miss an opportunity to connect with somebody, right? Because I think that's a
definitely.
huge part of the spirit of street photography is meeting new people and connecting with
Sure.
individuals and learning about them, and learning about their life versus your life and the things that they believe and enjoy. And those conversations can be very fruitful, I found.
Definitely. Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this one. This is actually the thumbnail of the video, so I wanted to make sure I hit it.
Cool.
I
Sure.
had to scroll for quite a while to find it again, but this one was fascinating to me. It's like firmly beauty in the mundane and like bizarreness of ordinary life. So what happened with this one? Why were his eyes that big? Because those are real glasses, or are those like overlays on his glasses? I'm a little confused.
Definitely overlays. But it was
That would be some
hilarious.
ridiculous prescriptions.
Like, I was like, this dude is awesome. Got to
Okay.
take his picture. And it was during Pride Parade. So, but
Ah,
once again, I like to take, you know, stuff out of context. So I just got up real close and
right.
talked to him. And yeah, he was a cool dude. I just thought he was
That's
super
great.
cool, you know?
Did you take this photo before or after you kind of initiated an interaction with him?
Before I just kind of like, you know, ran up to the car and snapped the photo and then talked for
Mm.
like 2 seconds, and on the way we
Is it
went.
kind of like you like took the photo, you pulled it down, you smiled at him, and then you guys
I was
engaged?
like, yeah, yeah. I like remember. I was just like, dude, you were awesome. I need to get a pair of those glasses. You know.
Cool. Cool.
He just
Yeah.
reminded me of like a dude that used to party a lot back in the day, and he's now older and still likes to party.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is insane. So
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely got a Santa Claus vibe to it a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
Um, maybe Santa Claus hangs out in Pittsburgh.
he might.
Yeah. That's
There's a lot of
that.
people with big beards in Pittsburgh.
You, okay. Gotcha. Is it, so it's a beardy place?
Yeah, I think it's a football thing. So
Ah, oh, interesting. Okay. Well, one of the things I enjoy about your photos as well is that you always have a very clear, defined subject. And I think that's one of the things that street photographers have a very hard time doing well consistently. But you always do a great job at distinguishing a subject from the mix. And this is a great example of that. It's very clear. I mean, obviously the eyes help out. The fact that the eyes are looking directly at you. Generally, eye
right,
contact is a great way to, connect with a subject. But in this case, they're like the eyes are 3 times the normal size, so that helps out a lot. And then
right,
you have, face, and then you have the fact that he's in a dark window, which sets him apart well. So there's a lot of
definitely.
things technically that make your photos work out really well.
Thanks.
Yeah, and even if the scene is more cluttered, because that one's fairly organized, but let's
Yeah,
see, let's
yeah.
maybe like this one right here. This is a photo that could easily be a bit confused and not work, but like just a little detail of the fact that his head is inside this chair here. I love that. And
Thank you.
yeah, he fits inside there. It works well because he's a bit darker. I can tell you're really thinking about where you're putting your feet when you're taking a photo.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I
then,
definitely try to. So,
yeah, no,
and I definitely, like I said,
definitely
I
works.
like to look for like patterns.
Mm,
Um, you know, like the three poles coming down, or the two poles, and then the tree, and then you have like the globe over there in the upper left. I think just kind of like makes it less cluttered because they're in some sort of a pattern. I don't know how else
yeah. Okay.
to
Yeah.
describe
Yeah.
it.
You're organizing the chaos.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
That's a good
Yeah.
way
You
to
got
put
these.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way I like to put it. Cause city is a very chaotic place. And so the goal of the street photographer is to organize that chaos.
Sure. Definitely.
I sometimes envy graphic designers because they can kind of build their scene into whatever it is.
Right.
But if you're a street photographer, you just kind of have to deal with what's in front of you, and you have to figure out how to make it work. And that's a really interesting art and hard to master.
It's something where like I think it's really important. Like some street photographers say like work the scene, but
Mm-hmm.
you can just kind of walk around the scene and figure out the photo you want. You know what I mean? You don't have to like continuously take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You just like
There's
take
value to not
pictures.
having the camera up to your eye.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think in my case, since Pittsburgh's a little smaller and so sometimes a lot quieter, um, it works well for me. So I just kind of like walk around and try to figure out where's a good spot. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, there's value to smaller and bigger cities. Okay, so let's see, we got about 10 more minutes with you here, and so let's look
We
at.
can run over a little if you want. It's no problem.
Okay, yeah,
So,
if you wanna go a little bit longer, if you have some more time, let me know. If you have to step out, let me know. We can wrap it up real quick, no problem. But I'm really enjoying looking at your photos. So let's see here.
I'm enjoying talking about them, which is kind of odd because I don't really like talk about my stuff, but
Okay.
my
Well,
work very often.
hopefully this
So
is a therapeutic experience for you.
Oh, this is definitely fun. I appreciate it.
Cool. Great. So like even this, right? You got these two people in the middle of the field. And when you look at it up close, I think your photos, like I was saying a second ago, they really do shine when you're looking at them large. And what I like about this photo is a little bit of what I was mentioning a second ago, where you have two people, and obviously they jump out. But you have the light on one person. Mm-hmm. So even though they're kind of two subjects, you emphasize down to that one subject, whether you do this. And by the way, I understand that when it comes to street photography, a lot of this is not happening intentionally. You just happen to capture it. You go into the editor and you're like, oh, that works. And you share it.
I mean, that's, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, mine are the same way. And I sometimes I surprise myself. But so I love that this is, it's like we have multiple subjects, but then we have like a primary subject and a secondary subject because the light's on this guy. And the scene is so interesting. It's not like a typical street scene. It's kind of like you've moved away into a park. Maybe you're not even in the city. I don't know exactly where this one was taken. Where was this taken at? Pittsburgh?
It's in the city. Yep. Downtown.
All right.
Point State Park.
Point State Park. All right.
Yep.
So yeah, I really love the way this came together. You get a sense of the humanity and liveliness. Like we're going to do handstands probably just for fun, I guess.
Right.
That's awesome.
I mean, I enjoy, so like I go through phases where I just like go out and shoot photos and think that I'm like not from this planet and see what I take photos of, which is like kind of weird. I know that sounds weird. Maybe it's not weird.
It's good.
But
it's good.
Yeah, that's how I go about doing it. It's a good way to like look at your city different, I guess. So
yeah, okay. So we got this guy walking around.
Yeah.
Was this a skin growth or was this a costume?
Definitely a costume. Yeah, it was like all the furries were around for this.
Oh, okay.
So he was there too, but I don't know if he was part of it or just kind of there outside hanging out. So, but I never saw a lizard man before, so I was pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I mean that's not something you see every day.
Right.
I like the light, very nice. And so I can tell that you are probably shooting it like you were saying, like f8 or so.
Yep.
So you got these guys still in here, but he sets himself apart nicely. I wanted to ask you too, what made up the decision to shoot in black and white? Because almost all of your photos are in black and white.
So I shot color for a while, and it was just too messy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's like, for what I shoot, it was just kind of like too much going on for my mind. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go with black and white. I mean, I love color photography, other people's color photography. I have like tons of color photography books, but for me personally, it just didn't work. So
it really suits your style well.
Thanks.
Yeah. This is this is a fantastic photo as well. Like
That's
little thing.
also Point State Park.
Oh, okay. Cool. So we got a little firing situation going here. He's shooting at the wall. This is okay. So we have some sort of reenactment, I'm assuming.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, they do like different kinds of
a lot of smoke
down there. Yeah, it was pretty loud too. But I just thought it was hilarious. Like that dude's face is in the cloud of smoke, kind of.
Oh, right over here.
Appears that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it interesting that you are able to so effectively get to these different types of little events that are happening. Or is it just that you go out so much that you just stumble upon them? Or are you kind of keeping your eye on events to see what's happening?
Yeah. I usually keep my eye on events. Sometimes I just stumble upon them, but I like, I'll keep a list of stuff going on. If I can make it, I'm there. So.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's beneficial. I think that can separate having a really hard time getting good street photos from making your life a lot easier. If you can get to a place where there are a gathering of a lot of different people and people wearing, I'm assuming this is Civil War attire.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
really interesting, bizarre scenes like this. You're able to capture those more effectively when you're keeping up with what's happening in your city.
Yes. And then you go do fun stuff that you wouldn't normally do, and it ends up being a really good time. So.
That's true. That's a good point.
It all works out.
Yeah. I also like, this photo would be very different if you didn't have a person on both sides. I think it makes the photo feel more balanced.
Thanks. Yeah, I would agree as well. If either one of them wasn't there, it just wouldn't work. So.
Yeah, it would be different. Like, I suppose maybe you could have cropped like this, do this kind of number where you just have this guy and this guy. I guess that could have worked, but it's definitely, I think it's stronger this way.
Thanks. Yeah, I like that. Like the walls, like kind of a triangle, and then the grass is kind of a triangle, and then like, the guys are hanging out there. Just worked out well.
Oh, right. Good point. Yeah. So this one, oh my gosh, this one's kind of startling. I love it.
Thank you.
So what was happening here?
I think it was a parade. I'm pretty sure it was a parade. And I took the photo. I was like, I gotta check this out and see what it would look like. The darkness in the window. So I just kind of went for it, and it ended up working out. I like the mystery. Excuse me.
Yeah, very good.
Mystery. I'm all about not showing what's actually going on in my photos most of the time.
Yeah. So. This is another great example of having a rather cluttered scene. I'm beginning to see the people for the parade now. Having a rather cluttered scene, but making something jump out at you in order to draw the eye in. And in this case, obviously you have this huge rounded window with a little hand contrasting perfectly. And if you shot this in color, the photo would be very different, right? Because you'd have all the red on the side of the truck, assuming it was red. You have you have various colors like these knobs and stuff. It could be very distracting, but in this case, you're just dealing with contrasting light.
Yeah. If it was color, I agree. It wouldn't. The reds would have been too much. The whites would have been too much, and then it would just been like, oh, there's a hand in the window.
Exactly.
Black and white, it's more striking. So.
Yeah, could have been too muddy. Oh, there's that guy again. Let's see. What's going on here? We having a little dance party?
A little dance party. Yeah, I think there was just like a jazz band playing or something, and everyone started dancing.
All right.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Love this. This reminds me of a photo I took a long time ago in Annapolis, Maryland. Very beautiful town if you ever get a chance to go there. But he had a giant iguana on his back. He was riding a bicycle. And he came by, and I was like, it came by so quick, and I was like, boom, like that, and just grabbed it. It was great.
Nice.
I need to reach.
I love people that carry their animals around. It's great.
Yeah. balloon, single white balloon. That's
Yeah.
lovely. It gives me a peek into to your mind and like what you're seeing on a daily basis. Obviously you're walking around and you're like, oh my gosh, that's interesting. I got to take a photo of that. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. It was definitely an interesting scene. Like, why is the balloon there? Like,
yeah. I don't know, but it's going to be a photo.
Yeah.
Penguin. Got it. Okay, that's fine. All right. Some fuzzy boots. I love the hand gesture right there. That's cool. The roses. Lots of mystery. Like you like to work with mystery. You know, you can't see the top of the person. We're just kind of here experiencing this sliver of reality.
Yeah. I think it's just, just keeps photos interesting. Not that photos that don't have a mystery aren't interesting, because I like tons of photos like that as well. But it's just like, it's a fun game for me to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see, I'm starting to see such a pattern in the way that you look at constructing photos, because they always have this very stark, clear, oftentimes in the center subject that when you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is stunning, right? So we have this entirely too tall person here, some nice light. Once again, if this wasn't black and white, could be a little bit all over the place, but it works well in black and white. And I love how she's kind of like, her body is physically leaning over. She's looking
to like check him out.
Yeah. It's just it's little things like that. They're so fascinating that photos uniquely catch that.
Thank you.
That's cool.
I really appreciate that, man. Thanks. It's fun to like try, it's just fun to like try and catch moments inside moments, or like odd things happening inside of a regular day. I don't know.
We got a color photo.
Yeah. I felt like it had to be color, because he's like all in his Steelers gear. And
the yellow really makes it pop out. Live with purpose. And I really do enjoy the fact that, like, with something like this, right? It's like you're not trying to necessarily curate some specific thing on your Instagram feed. It's like you're sharing the photos that you're pulled towards, that you appreciate, that you're, scenes you were able to find. Like, you're okay with sharing a photo of just two birds hanging out. That can, a lot of times when you get pulled into a certain kind of niche of photo taking, it can be hard to come out of that niche, but you seem to keep yourself pretty limber, like these guys.
Definitely. Yeah. I just think I just try not to fall into one category, maybe. I don't know.
That's good.
Industry photography, but I just like to post photos and interact with people on Instagram. I think it's fun. It's cool meeting other people that like to do what you like to do. So
yeah, that's pure. I love that. What was happening here?
It was like a flash mob.
Flash mob. Okay. All right. So this feels very interpretive.
Yeah, I think it was like a interpretive flash mob kind of thing, and I really like wanted to get them in the most oddly placed way I could, and I did. And I just think it's just odd. It's an odd frame of photo.
Was this part of like a burst as they were moving around? Like, are you just capturing different positions, or was this one shot and you got it?
They were like moving around, and I took a bunch of shots, but this is the one I liked the best. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
It really helps that, you got a bunch of stragglers around here. It really helps that they're in the darkness and these guys are hanging out in the light. It can be so irritating, because you'll find a scene like this, but the people will be like all the way back here by the door, by, the wall over here, and it won't work.
Yeah. It will just make it too cluttered. It worked out well in that aspect, I think.
Yeah. And so were you shooting with like a 20, what did you say? 32 millimeter, right? Generally?
I think this was 35.
35.
35
Okay.
equivalent, but generally now it's 32 is what I use.
Okay.
So
So you went 3 millimeters wider. You bold man.
yeah, living on the edge.
Live, of course. Of course. The only way to live. Very nice. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I love this. He's got a bag for a head.
Yes.
This is just, I mean, these are scenes that I wish I could just stumble upon, and they're out there. You just have to be, you have to be there. You have to be ready for them. You have to have your camera in the right settings. Because what I'm thinking, one of the things I'm thinking right now is I would have come into the, I don't know, CVS, Walgreens, whatever. I would have walked into it, and I would have still had my settings set for outside. And when I would have seen this, and I would have pulled it up, and it would have been completely dark. So I love that I don't know if you had the time to tweak your settings, or if you were just like, I'm going in a store, going to go into store mode, or if you're shooting an aperture or whatever. But I just love, those are the types of things that I think about when it comes to stuff like this.
I try to remember to change my settings when I'm going inside a building, just in case, It's like, you never know what you might see. So it's like always trying to think that way.
Are you most often tweaking your shutter speed or your f-stop, your ISO, all three? Like what does that normally look like for you?
Mostly my f-stop. I shoot an aperture priority all the time. So usually just my f-stop, and it works out pretty well. I really like the aperture priority on the Fujis. It's probably the same on all cameras, but all I've used digital is Fuji, so.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's very similar across camera platforms, but that's cool. I love that you let the camera do a lot of the work for you, so you don't have to think about as much.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, I think I said earlier, I think it's important just because you can just focus on what's going on around you than rather what's in your hand, and going back and forth, between the camera to reality and what's going on around you. So I guess I just use the camera as a tool more so than anything. It's just there and ready to take the photo.
Yeah, the extension of your arm that happens to be able to take photos.
Definitely. If I could do that, always have one on my arm. But then people would look at me all the time. That probably wouldn't work out too well.
You could hide, because when I film photo walk videos, I've used a GoPro and I just put it right there, but I find that I become a lot less invisible when I do that.
Right. Who was that one
what's
guy,
he doing?
The 60s or not the 60s, I think the 1930s or 40s that did a subway photography project. He put the camera in his jacket. It was a little tiny Walker Evans.
Oh.
Was it Walker Evans?
Okay,
Maybe
I'm not
it was
sure.
Walker Evans.
That's interesting.
I can't remember. I think it was Walker Evans. I'm pretty sure. Pretty neat.
Yeah, that's rad. I bet that's a good way to get some. I feel like the camera was probably a lot bigger back then. That might have been difficult.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah. He has a giant bulge. He's like, oh, it's just a tumor. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man. That's hilarious.
All right, we got some. Scroll through a few more here.
Sure.
Got the dog in the carrier. Got the man with the book. Interesting.
Yeah, I used to just go downtown and walk every day for an hour after work.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
So I think that helped me a lot in finding photos as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a game of consistency, I feel like.
Yeah, the more you're out, the more you'll see, right? So it's
I really enjoyed this one. I think this is quite interesting. I love people that are in thoughtful poses, because it forces you to think about what's going on in their head, and think about them at all as a human, which is as we're walking around, if we're trying to get places, we don't necessarily think about the other people around us. I love that you were able to capture this man just sitting here, and the mere fact that it's a still frame of him in such a thoughtful pose makes you think about everything that, his life, his thoughts, what he cares about, what he would be like to talk to, things like that.
Definitely. Yeah, I just like, I don't know, do these like quiet moments. I look for people and like just thought, in their own head,
Hmm.
thinking about whatever they're thinking about. Always found it interesting.
Yeah, I love the pose. It's like he's got his legs crossed one way, his arms crossed another way. Sometimes I see photos that just make me sick because they're so good in certain ways, and this is one of them because
Oh,
I
thanks,
love the
man.
way his body is positioned. I think that
I
adds
really appreciate
so
that.
much. Yeah.
I got lucky with this one. I was shooting from a car.
Oh, really? I can see
Yeah,
the that makes more sense now because I can see this. He's just a little bit blurred. This fire hydrant.
yeah, yeah. So like, I think Rachel, my girlfriend Rachel, was driving, and I was like, "We got to go around again." She's really good sport about that stuff.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna ask you how does she deal with the I need to stop and take this thing.
sometimes she doesn't want to, but usually she's great about it. She really
That's great.
supports me in making photos. So my
That's
earbud
good.
just fell out into my pocket.
Oh my
There we go.
gosh, that's why you have a frocket for situations like that.
There we go. But yeah, she's super supportive and is always down to go and usually find a photo. So it's great.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Got a squirrel. I like the freedom that you take. It's like I'm in a car, I'll take a photo. I'm walking around, I'll take a photo. I'm outside the city, I'll take a photo. I oh my gosh, that's wow. That's
At
actually
home.
really good. At home, is that your girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, super good. You're at home, you take a photo. It's like I'll fall victim to putting myself in like a photo taking mode, and that photo taking mode happens at this time and not at this time. But it
Right.
seems like you're always willing and interesting to just grab a photo based on your environment.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be more like how you were, where I'd set different photo times, which I
Mm,
still do. I still like, you know, go walk around 2 or 3 hours downtown, but I just like completely started carrying my camera everywhere.
yeah.
And I don't even, it used to be like it would just kind of distract me from being somewhere, but now I just have it. So, and it doesn't distract me from what I'm doing as much. So,
Mm,
it
I
took me a
love
little while
that.
to get used to that, but um, especially with COVID and stuff, I just feel
Mm,
like carrying my camera all the time was like the answer to me being able to make photos during that time because,
mm. Less people.
yeah, there was just like not a lot of photos to take,
Mm,
and it was hard to get out and walk all the time when no one was around. You know what I mean? So I
hmm.
had to get out of that headspace of um, just focusing on downtown Pittsburgh.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I also like that this photo, and it might also be because you shoot in black and white so much. It fits into your feed really nicely. Like even though this was,
Thank you.
I guess this was taken at home. It feels like it's something that you could have stumbled upon on a street corner, like a
Yeah,
storefront or something.
thank you.
You got the cat in the corner. That's fun. So, oh, is that her as well? Is that what are you guys doing? A project?
yeah, it was like moving. We were like moving everything around. It's just like such a mess. It's chaos.
Uh,
So I was like, I gotta take
yeah,
pictures
I
of
know
that.
that
You
feeling.
know?
That slightly stresses me out. Always a lot to do when you move. Nice.
Thank you.
So, in Pittsburgh as well, is it how lively is the city and where? Oh, wow, we'll talk about that one in just a second. How lively is the city and where is it lively and how do you navigate that?
So downtown used to be like insanely lively.
Mm,
I'm sure like every other city, it's just completely quiet now.
mm,
So I go to like there. We have the Strip District, which is like 10 or 15 blocks of like markets and stuff. I'll sometimes go to. Um, Downtown was my spot for years.
mm.
I still consider it, pretty good, but just lots of walking, lots of hanging out on corners, just looking for stuff.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha. Have you found a system for kind of getting around people at this point? Like getting around to find people? Or is it just kind
kind
of
of,
random?
it's become more random. Like I used to know where to go and something would probably be happening. Now I tend to like go like parks, festivals like downtown. There's one
Hmm.
today I'll probably go to at some point. Um, yeah, it just kind of COVID changed everything when it comes to that. Just a lot more hunting and less photo taking, but that's cool. So.
Yeah. So with this photo, there's a lot of mystery here, but it's like when you first look at it, you're like, it's a bit startling. But what was happening here?
So he was just, I think he was just working on some type of phone line, and I really liked it.
Gotcha.
It looked like the cords like kind of exploded out of the ground or something,
Hmm.
and he was like looking over it. Just kind of, they were placed in a nice way around him.
Okay. Like when I first saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, he's having a heart attack. But the more you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, he's
Right,
working on something.
right.
But that speaks to what you were saying a second ago about just kind of leaving some mystery there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's
I think
got it's another one of the themes of your photos that you'll have like a single person in an interesting position on the ground, kind of like the one with the lady who was kneeling, the pro-life
yes.
protester. She was
Yes.
kneeling down. It has a similar feel to it where you have somebody who is in a peculiar position in public, and you have to kind of make sense of it. I think that's fascinating.
Thanks. Yeah, I like odd positions too. I think that's
Mhm.
pretty neat. It's pretty
Definitely.
cool.
I'm thinking back to that one a second ago where they were doing the interpretive.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
imagine if you had never seen anything like that before and you just saw the photo, you would be like,
Oh,
what is this? You know,
what's
like
it?
this is
Yeah.
insane.
Or if you didn't know that there were things called stilts, and you saw the one with the guy, you're like, oh my
Right?
gosh, he's 15 feet tall. How did that
Right?
happen? What did he eat when he was growing up?
Yeah. Hey, just
Yeah.
to give you a little warning here, my phone is at like 7%,
Okay.
so I'm
Well
probably
then,
gonna have to cut out shortly.
that's fine. We'll go ahead and wrap things up then. I think this would be a good time to do it. And thank you for going 20 minutes over with me.
No problem, man. I
This
really
has been
enjoyed talking to you about this. It was fun. It's
Yeah,
relaxing.
I
Yeah,
quite enjoyed it. Oh, I did want to ask you one more question.
sure.
What was the reasoning behind the white border on your photos? Just to be able to show the entire photo in the feed?
I just liked how it looked.
Mm.
I mean, I know it's like a film thing, right? So a lot of people do it
Mm.
with film, and they have like, the negative carriers they cut out, etc. I just
Yeah.
liked how it looked, and I think it looks nice on Instagram. So in like books and zines I've made, I just kind of kept it going usually. So
Okay. Very
I just
good.
think it's a
I
nice
think
look.
yeah, it's a great way to show the entire photo. That's the one thing that I
Yeah,
struggle
yeah,
with Instagram. Because I feel like I have to make all my photos kind of make sense in a square format as well, you know? And so you kind of move around that by putting the photos in a
right.
border. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate your time again. This has been fun. You have many more photos, and I'd be happy to do this another time. But I'll let you get out of here. I'm going to go eat some lunch. Thank you to everyone who watched. Check out Tom below. I should have his link down there. And that'll be it. I hope you guys have a lovely day.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you.